talking about Manchester United's transfer window in the January transfer window. Some big stories and big names linked with Manchester United. But ESPN have gone one step further and said that Manchester United are not interested in bringing any January signings to the table this transfer window coming. We'll get into that and their reports on what they have said. Between Rob Dawson and Mark Ogden of ESPN, they have completely kiboshed any hope for all Manchester United fans that we were going to strengthen in January. And then there's other stories coming out completely disagreeing with them. So what is the truth? And where do we go from here with this? We're going to debate it in the live chat. And of course, get into the comment section. Let me know what you think. Who do you believe, I think, is the topic tonight in terms of the journalists coming out and talking? Now, don't get me wrong. What Mark Ogden has said here and Rob Dawson are quite factual in some other stories. But the main ones, which we're going to start with, the transfer stories, they're the interesting ones here. Because I'm going to read you a story from one journalist and publication, and then one from what ESPN has said, and you tell me what you think is bang on the money, and we'll debate it. We'll talk about it. What is Manchester United's season like with what we have got? Because this is exactly what Mark Ogden and ESPN's Rob Dawson, journalist there for that broadcaster, are saying in this one here. So let's read it out first of all, and what's actually going on with this. And do you know what? There's so many stories that have come out today regarding Manchester United's midfield, but this was the most important one, I thought. Definitely putting next on the line in terms of taking a real guess at how Manchester United's transfer window is going to go. This is the line. Manchester United have no intention of strengthening Ruben Amorim's midfield in January. The club are set to wait until the summer when they can move for their priority targets. You could look at that story and go, God, that's really disappointing. And Manchester United are not going to buy anyone or bring anybody in January. Manchester United aim to cut $1 million per week from their wage bill next summer to help finance new midfield additions. The savings would give the club the flexibility to pursue the signings needed for the next stage of Ruben Amorim's squad overhaul. Let's break that down, both of them statements, and let's look at what's real in these. So, as a journalist, what would you be looking at right now? You would go into it and you would look at the odds for Manchester United signing a player and the odds for Manchester United not. You would look at how Ineos have approached the transfer market and how they have got players over the last couple of windows. And you would summarise and say, well, I'm going to have a little bit of a guess here, because this is what I think this is. They're just laying everything out here. I don't think anyone from Manchester United has come out and necessarily told them that they're not going to buy anyone. Because this morning we had Fabrizio Romano talking about Carlos Baleba and Brighton's stance on him, whether that changes and United could go for Baleba in January. So I would go with Romano on that side of things. I've listened to Ben Jacobs say that Manchester United could look for that loan with option to buy deal, a Conor Gallagher one. We've also heard a lot of other journalists talking about Conor Gallagher's agents doing the rounds at the moment. Maybe that's where the speculation has come from, and maybe that's why no one's taking it serious in some parts in the journalistic world. But what Mark Ogden and Rob Dawson are reporting here, I think, is just looking at everything all together and laying it out, I feel. And they feel, and you know what, they are right in a way, because it's difficult for Man United to get their top targets. But how do they know who United's top targets are? They haven't reported anything, either one of these journalists, on who Manchester United are going for. Yep, they may have been savvy to some reports, but they haven't been the ones talking about it. They haven't really said anything of significance regarding Manchester United's January transfer window. Then, bang, today. So it would make you think, actually, that maybe they have just been told something and nobody else knows about this. But why would ESPN get the scoop all of a sudden when other journalists are talking about Manchester United being open? And, well, let's be honest, Jason Wilcox was talking openly on MUTV, talking about how Manchester United are in constant dialect and talking all the time with the recruitment team and Ruben Amorim over potential deals that could be made in January, weighing up all options. And then we've got no intention at all to strengthen Ruben Amorim's midfield. And that's the line there. No intention of strengthening Ruben Amorim's midfield. It sounds a bit it sounds a bit harsh, doesn't it? It's like, boom, right down to the point. No one is coming in, that's it. We're not even looking. Well, we are looking. We know we're looking. And if the right opportunity comes around, United will spend money in January. They may look for a loan in January. You could also say that Mark Ogden and Rob Dawson here have obviously looked at the news, and Manchester United probably would have told them this, that there is no chance that Joshua Zirkzee or Kobbie Mainoo are leaving in the January transfer window. They may have that stance. Everything changes very, very quickly in the football world. And let's not forget, 5 weeks is a long time. So if they can say there's no intention in November about what's going to happen in January, but what about if Ruben Amorim gets a couple of injuries? And there's the next line that comes in, which is important in this one as well for me, which is the savings would give the club the flexibility to pursue the signings needed in the next stage of Ruben Amorim's squad overhaul. What overhaul are we talking about here? We're talking about maybe moving on a couple of players that are at a certain age that are going to leave because they're free agents. Yes, we could be talking about what? Andre Onana leaving the football club, but he's not a part of it right now. So what is this overhaul? We're talking perhaps maybe a couple of players coming in midfield. It's not what you would call an overhaul, is it? And again, the flexibility to pursue signings and the next stage of Ruben Amorim's overhaul. How do you know that overhaul and the next stage is going to happen if Ruben Amorim doesn't make European football this season? If he doesn't make European football this season, there might not be a next stage for Ruben Amorim yet. And ESPN are all too willing to report on the possibility of Ruben Amorim losing his job like every other journalist. And they're quite right in doing so, because Manchester United need to be winning for that manager to stay in a job. So now all of a sudden, because United have had an unbeaten run of 5 games, 3 wins, 2 draws, which we're all happy about, Ruben is completely safe now, and we're already looking ahead. No matter what happens in January, we're not going to sign anyone because he's already preparing for the next stage of his time at Manchester United and another overhaul in the summer. It doesn't quite add up to me, and I don't believe it. I believe parts of it, 100%. The line there about Manchester United aiming to cut 1 million off the wage. How many times have I talked about that? I add up the Casemiro and the Harry Maguire wage, and that is, let's just say, for instance, you had Harry Maguire and Casemiro together, right there, what you're looking at, straight away, you're looking at, what's 500,000, 540 grand a week in wages, near enough, for both of them players. You could add Tyrell Malacia's wage to that as well, which takes it over 600 million, and so we're already well over halfway to getting to that £1 million mark off the books. And yes, you can include in that Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, Rasmus Højlund and Andre Onana onto that list, which is way over 1 million. So it's not a scoop. It's not them being told something that is going to happen. They've looked at everything that's going down and they've reported on it, and they've reported factually. So you can't really call them out on it, ESPN, for doing this. They're right. They're bang on the money with it. But it's not a big story. Saving 1 million a week off them wages is simply because Manchester United have actually overspent and gone in on players that we really shouldn't be playing and so shouldn't be paying for. There is so many different angles on this right now, and this is another piece that's come out from Mark Ogden as well. Regardless of what happens in upcoming transfer windows, Manchester United are done signing aging, high-profile names on huge fees and wages, where the likes of Casemiro, Rafael Varane and Cristiano Ronaldo. The club is now focused on long-term plan and built to smarter recruitment and more responsible spending, with the foundation for next summer's window already being laid. No problem at all with that. But it doesn't mean that Man United are not looking for somebody in January. We're not using Kobbie Mainoo. We're not using Manuel Ugarte. We're relying on 2 30-plus-year-old players in midfield that are struggling to keep up with the demands of the Premier League. And I think that's quite clear. Even with Bruno's super fitness that he has got, he is struggling to maintain that throughout. And Casemiro, as we can see, can't play 90 minutes right now. They feel like they can cope with this. I disagree. And again, if I was looking at everything going on and everything put out there, laid out, how would I look at this? I wouldn't look at it as Manchester United not going out and looking for somebody. Look, there's looking and then there's getting. Looking and looking for an opportunity I think Manchester United are. It's not that we've got no intention. It's just that it's difficult, and I think that's the report on this. And I think they've taken a little bit of a chance on saying that there is no intention. Of course there is. And if United get the chance to sign somebody in the January transfer window, they will. So let's just watch this space. They have pretty much there, I would say, looked at the numbers, looked at the reports, and said United are going to concentrate on the summer. Nearly every other journalist has said this also, that United's main targets are in the summer. Well, they are. Baleba summer, Elliot Anderson in the summer as well. Angelo Stillo, according to Fabrizio Romano, would be another summer signing for Manchester United. There is a lot to say that is factual in this. But again, I look at other reports and then I start to think, well, hang on a minute. That doesn't really line up. That doesn't actually look like it's the same story. For instance, Record Portugal, who are the ones that were all over Victor Gyökeres, are saying that Ruben Amorim is aiming to reinforce Manchester United's midfield and has João Gomes in mind for January. Gomes is open to the move, with United expected to pay around 44 million to land him. On top of that, Manchester United, like we spoke this morning, are leading the race alongside Brighton for 18-year-old Olympiacos midfielder Christos Mousakitis, another holding midfielder. Manchester United are in the hunt for Elliot Anderson. There's another report from the Telegraph, but we know Anderson is a summer signing because he will be cheaper because of that clause which is in his contract. But again, people talking about João Gomes coming into Manchester United. And of course, we heard the report earlier on today that Conor Gallagher's agent is also speaking to his player about a move to England and a potential return to the Premier League and Manchester United. There's going to be more and more reports come through tonight on this one as well. Get your comments into the live comment section now. Give me your thoughts on this. I'm going to get in there and see what you're all thinking on this. Yeah, it is a slightly earlier show tonight if you are watching live. I've got a very busy evening tonight as well. Really busy with work stuff at the moment. But we're getting the content out there and we want to get your thoughts in on the comment section. So please do pile in there and give me your thoughts on this. Do you believe that we're not going for one midfielder at least if the opportunity comes around? Or is there zero effort at all from what like ESPN are saying there that United are not going to improve and bolster Ruben Amorim's midfield this January? Interesting. Very interesting. Let's get some thoughts on this. First of all, thank you very much for the super chat, Hassan. We need people, so let's bloody buy them. Okay, got that. And Oystein, welcome to the members club as well. Thank you guys for that. Give me your thoughts on that report from ESPN. Everybody, get into the chat. Let me know. I don't mind being stringent as far as transfers are concerned, but if that top target becomes available, we have to be prepared to pay out the necessary amount. If we don't, then our rivals strengthen. See, this is the thing also that you've got to bring into the picture here. If, like what Romano said this morning, Brighton change their stance, and that's not going to happen as far as I know. I think Bloom will keep to his word and try and sell Baleba for 100 million in the summer. He won't get that much because Man United are the only team in and it's the only place that Baleba wants to go. So they're stuck with that. Elliot Anderson, I don't think will cost that much money. That will happen in the summer. And there's the gentleman's agreement for Adam Wharton to leave Crystal Palace and someone will take him as well. João Gomes will not stay at Wolves no matter what happens in January. And if they even have an upturn in form, I can't see them surviving. No wins in 11. They are doomed. Gomes won't survive at Wolves. So straight away, you're looking at 4 midfielders that are guaranteed to go in the summer. Could anything change in January in their stance and the club stance? Yes, of course it could. Something might need to happen for one of these clubs to meet financial fair play. And everything that needs to be in and books handed into the Premier League by June 30th. This could happen, and with teams dropping out of Europe and a risk of dropping out and them gate receipts not coming in and it being a bit more difficult to balance the finances, things change and dynamics change within football clubs that could make certain players available in January. So it's a never say never situation when you look at all of these targets that United are looking at. One thing you can take from this, which is a real positive, I think, is that United have their ships aligned and everything is ready to go. And the summer is going to be a real good summer for Manchester United. A proper recruitment transfer summer window. And I do think that we are going to get top players now. The report there from Mark Ogden, dead right in terms of the stance on buying older, over-the-hill type players on massive contracts and fees. Casemiro, Ronaldo, Rafael Varane, three there that were used as the example. It's dead right. We're never going to be paying them wages out. Also, the wage bill coming down by $1 million. Yes, we will save that on everyone we're looking to move on this summer. Alone, like the players that are out of contract, I just mentioned it before there, you're pretty much near enough at around about $750,000 for Malacia, Maguire, Casemiro and Jadon Sancho, and they're officially off Man United's books. You add Marcus Rashford to that, it's over $1 million. Then you've got Rasmus Hojlund and Andre Onana to add to that. You've also got Tom Heaton to add to that as well. And obviously anyone else that's being sold by Manchester United. So, yeah, we are going to be £1 million less. I think everybody could see that. And I think what ESPN are doing there is just stating the obvious. United will have a lot of financial freedom to buy players in the summer, but that doesn't mean they're going to go out and buy willy-nilly and spend all of this money. They're going to be very tight, and they're going to be stringent, like the comment says there from Ant, and it's the right way to go. And I think they're doing their work now to make sure that them targets come in. But what you need to remember in all of this is players could be out of Manchester United come the end of this season. We could be losing 3/4 of our midfield because Mainu's not going to sign that contract. Agate's not enough, and they're not going to agree a new deal for Casemiro, as stated there. 3 of our 4 central midfielders gone in the summer. That's a very big possibility for United. So what we've got to say there is, it's like, right, okay, well, 1 midfielder is not enough, 2 is not enough, 3 is a minimum, perhaps 4 players coming into that area of the park if you are in European competitions. So if the chance comes up for, say, a Conor Gallagher or a João Gomes now, do you really think that Manchester United are going to refuse that opportunity when they could beat their rivals to them players? Because João Gomes will go to a top side in the Premier League. So too will Conor Gallagher. He is a very good player and can do a job for anyone in the top half of that table. And then you've got the big guns as well. I just feel like this is a little bit too premature from ESPN in the reporting here, and there's a lot of water still to flow under that bridge yet, and a lot can happen. What about injuries? What about somebody going down injured and then you need to bring somebody else in? Otherwise, you could be completely derailing a season. I don't think Manchester United are going to lose or miss out on the opportunity to bring somebody else in that's going to give them a better chance to get into Europe next season. They cannot afford to risk that. And an injury to Casemiro or Bruno, and this just completely falls down flat on its ass. That's what happens to this plan straight away. I don't think it is a plan. I think United are looking. Let's get some more comments in on this as well. If we are getting Baleba in the summer, let Mainu go to Brighton on loan for 6 months and play extra pay extra for Stiller to come in January. Can be done. Maybe. Definitely, like, money talks at the end of the day. I understand that. Anderson has been impressive in his last few games, 80 million tops. I don't even think it's going to get to that, Wayne, to be honest. Going off what Ben Jacobs has said clause-wise in his contract, I think United could be looking. But there is another report going around today that it is both Manchester United and Newcastle that are bidding for Elliot Anderson. Ben Jacobs said one key thing on Elliot Anderson. Yes, there are clauses for Elliot Anderson from the player side, but if United are in Europe, this becomes very easy for Manchester United to get the deal done. You know exactly what he means by that. It means that he wants a club that's in Europe. Ideally, if they're in the Champions League, it's a done deal, simple as. And it's between who finishes higher, out of Man United and Newcastle. I really do believe that that is it. And I think United are already doing the groundworks. I think Eddie Howe is sinking at Newcastle. The longer he stays, the less chance I think they have of making Europe. No disrespect at all to Eddie Howe on that side of things, but I think that is happening now and everyone can see it. He has ceilinged out. He can't take that team any further with the finances that are on offer for him. He needs a lot more money spending for him to move any further. I think the next step needs to come. I don't think Newcastle are prepared to back Eddie Howe. From the outside, that's how it looks anyway. And obviously, I think this season United are in a better place with not having European football and have a greater chance of getting into Europe, because Newcastle will want to carry on and go as far as they can in Europe, but that's not going to help them in their race to get in there next season. I think United are better than Newcastle this season, and I think we will pip them to the European spot if it's between the two clubs. So Anderson is well and truly hooked and on the line for United, and it's just going to be a slow case of reeling him in and seeing where Forest finish and how easy that is to pull him in, because contract situation, United finishing in Europe, that's going to get that deal done. I think United will feel comfortable in getting Baleba done also at the same time. And then you're looking at what might happen in January to get United to that point. Conor Gallagher, João Gomes, we'll see, because Wolves haven't come out and nobody said anything on this yet. And it'd be interesting to see what happens with obviously George Mendes and what's going on there on that side of things as well. If any deal can be made in January, everyone is there that needs to be there to make that happen. I actually do think that Manchester United rate João Gomes and would be open to taking him in the summer transfer window as well as another option besides the obvious three. It's my look on that completely. Ancelotti said this week that Casemiro is Brazil's most important player when they have the ball, as he creates leads from the front and looked up to by teammates. Of course, he's a freaking legend, man. Casemiro is an absolute baller. I think people forget how good Casemiro actually is sometimes. The age factor really sends people down that wrong pathway of their opinions on Casemiro. It really is embarrassing how people disrespect him so much. He's a quality player, but he can't last 90 minutes. Man United need more. Whether we keep Casemiro or not, we still need another two midfielders on top of him, at least. And that's how desperate the situation is. If we lose him, you could be talking about losing these transfers in the summer. So United need to be on top of any opportunity that comes around in January. It's not dead in the water. It cannot be. We must buy one in January and at least two in the summer. I think we need 4 central midfielders. That's why people shouldn't be crying over players like Gallagher. We need first team backups also, says Cal. Anthony says Casemiro will leave. In my opinion, Agathe isn't good enough and Amorim doesn't rate Mainu, so major changes have to happen in midfield. And again, can it all happen in one window in the summer? Well, yeah, of course it can. United can get busy and get it done. There's more time. No one wants to sell players in January, and I think United's stance on that is exactly the same. But we're hearing stories also on top of this that Everton now are in for both Mainu and Joshua Zirkzee. We know that West Ham have offered game time to both players as well. Mainu wants to move to Napoli, according to Fabrizio Romano, on a straight loan. There is a lot to settle in January, and don't count anything out. Don't count anything out at all when it comes to players coming in and players leaving Man United this January. I think there's a lot more to happen yet, and I think it will. I really do. I think ESPN are clutching at straws. I'd rather go with what Jacobs and Fabrizio Romano are doing with the transfer window. Just saying. I mentioned both of them journalists on top of what ESPN are actually saying in their report today. And look, I would probably judge what Romano has said more and what David Ornstein has said as well. And Ornstein has said nothing regarding January. Let's just make that clear. Romano is being very careful about January. He doesn't know enough yet to say that United are going to be told it's the summer and that's it. I think what everybody knows is that Man United are not capable, I don't think, of seeing this season out unless we get somebody else in the January transfer window. I think we need more. In January, it's most likely Mainu on loan, Gallagher in on loan with option, and don't be surprised, Gomez from Wolves, says Donning. My thoughts exactly. Gallagher is not a very good player. He's very bad. No, he's not, Merrin. He's not very bad, which is why he's played for both Chelsea and Atletico Madrid. There's no one goes to Simeone's Atletico Madrid if they're a very bad player. I can tell you that for nothing right now. What you need is character, strength and personality to play in one of them teams. And if he's done all right there, then he'll do all right at Man United. I'm telling you now. There's no fear at all in Conor Gallagher. Look, I'm not saying that he is going to be the next best thing since sliced bread or anything like that, but I do believe that Gallagher would be a useful acquisition for Manchester United, even if it is someone who's going to come in and do a job for the Reds and maybe play a big part this season, but then turn into one of them players that then is part and parcel of the rotation come the hopefully European campaign next season. Spirit of Lakota says Barkley has personality issues, a bit of a party ball, also has weight problems. Great when younger, but fell by the wayside. Not United standard. No one's talking about Barkley. Who's talking about Barkley, by the way? Unless that's a private conversation. Sorry for butting in if that is the case. Anderson and Mounts in midfield could be a machine for us. I don't think he likes Mason Mount in that role. I think he would have tried him already. He's dropped in there from the 10 to help out at certain times, but he's definitely not an 8 in Ruben Amorim's eyes. I think Mason Mount would do a better job than Bruno in at the number 8 role. I really do. But again, that would mean push Bruno up front again then and let him fight for the rotation of 10s. But Ruben wants to play Bruno because of his attitude, and Bruno definitely deserves a place in his side still for me. I do. I've always said that, and you all know my stance with Bruno, but I do think that he still warrants a place in this side. I really do. And again, hat-trick for Portugal this week. Proves that he's still got it. He's still creating, and he's still putting up them numbers that Manchester United desperately need still, because we're not fully flowing yet, and you need someone with that character sometimes just to bail you out. I'm not defending him here. I'm not saying he should be starting every game. I'm far from it. But you cannot think past Bruno Fernandes for this season now. Gallagher is only young. He's already been Palace best player in the Prem when he was there. He's good. He only left Chelsea because they spent over 200 million on 2 central midfielders. It's very, very true, Ross, on that one, because he would have stayed otherwise. And there were Chelsea fans that weren't happy when Conor Gallagher left. They really weren't. They weren't happy when Mason Mount left. So there is a real situation. Well, that situation developed very quickly there. And Chelsea and their scattergun transfer approach is the best way to describe them, I think. Definitely, I think, paved the way for Conor Gallagher leaving to Atletico Madrid. And I don't think he wanted to go. I really don't think that he wanted to leave. The story from Jason Burt from The Telegraph is that Man United and Newcastle are both keen on Elliot Anderson, but Nottingham Forest have made it clear they don't and won't consider any bids for the England midfielder in January. I think that's normal. Yeah, I think that is probably what we expected now from word. We already kind of knew about this earlier on. I think today and throughout this week, the reports that we talked about last week were that Elliot Anderson's people also don't want to leave Forest this season. So I think out of respect for Forest and the situation, Anderson wants to play out the last season in full at Forest, go to the World Cup, and then Anderson's transfer saga will be an end of July into August before the season starts saga. And I think United will be right at the forefront of it. I really do. The story from Indy as well, which is Conor Gallagher's agent has spoken to Manchester United. The player would be delighted if the move was to happen. Manchester United are keen. So again, differing reports on the Conor Gallagher situation, and that is simply because Manchester United are well and truly in for Conor Gallagher. There is an update from David Ornstein, actually. I've not even read into this, so I'm reading this raw right now. Bournemouth could be unable to stop Antoine Semenyo from leaving in January, as his contract contains a 65 million release clause. It's open to any club, but must be activated by a specific deadline to allow Bournemouth time to find a replacement. The clause will also be valid again in the summer, but for a lower fee. Oh my God, Antoine Semenyo has put himself right in the market with that. That is a blockbuster bit of news there from David Ornstein, and that, I think, is massively significant. That's just come out in the last 20 minutes. Ornstein reporting that Semenyo can leave in January, and if a club comes in at the right time, then there's nothing that they can do. Antoine Semenyo will be as much as Matthias Cunha and less than Brian Mbeumo for Manchester United if they wanted to go out and strengthen. Now, that just breaking now, let's just discuss that. Manchester United have no intention, ESPN said, of strengthening their midfield. What about the attack? Can we strengthen the attack? I definitely think we can. I think we can strengthen wing-back with that Semenyo move there. But again, look, it's a favourite apparently for Liverpool. But I've said this before. You might as well bin Salah, bin Ekitike and Gakpo, and bring Semenyo in. Because if he's playing right or left, and he plays both sides just as well. He's played left and right midfield this season. He's played left and right 10s and attacking out of a three-man front line. Both sides. Out and out winger. So Antoine Semenyo coming in to Liverpool, I don't know who they would drop. I really don't. I think, again, similar situation for United, unless they were thinking of playing him in that wing-back role. But, wow. Again, with that news from David Ornstein, you've got to think the reality there is Antoine Semenyo pretty cheap. 65 million tops for him. That's something I don't think anyone can ignore. I think he's worth every single penny of that. Get on the Semenyo one and get on to the midfield as well in the chat, please, everybody. Talk to me. Let me know what you're thinking right now. Pat says, hi, Adam. I think we will definitely get a defensive midfielder in January to help get Champions League, which will cover the cost. It's also good business. Europe makes us money. United know this good business. I think so. Can any of you United legends here imagine Mount and Gallagher in the same starting 11 for United? God help us. Brighton already have 2 Greeks signed in the summer. He'll go to Brighton. That is the other young Greek midfielder I think you're talking about there. Oh. We've got a good squad, not mega good, but there are still player combos to look at which could prove to be really good. Not perfect, but let them evolve, and then we can see what's needed soon enough. Bit of a risk in terms of combos. We've already seen quite a few, to be honest, though, and I don't think anybody's impressed with Manuel Ugarte. I don't think he's going to be really knocking on the manager's door, in the opinions of many Man United fans. Casemiro's coming to an end this summer. Bruno Fernandes, obviously, he'll have another year left on his contract after this season also. The combos, I don't think there are many there at all, to be honest. I think he's already used them. And I think if he was going to find something, he would have already tested it out in training, and then we'll be looking at seeing it in the first team. And we're just not seeing it. That's the truth. We just haven't seen it because I don't think Ruben believes in it. I don't think Ruben thinks that it is there. Semenyo would be an amazing signing for us. 65 million all day long. Scary. That would be very, very scary to add Semenyo to that time. Can you imagine you had... I know this is a pipe dream, and just hear me out on it, but Semenyo one wing back, Ahmad the other, linking up with Cunha and Mbeumo, and you've got Sesko in front of them. Wow, I don't see Semenyo as a wing-back. I'm going to be honest. I don't. The more I think about it, the more I feel like I'm squeezing Semenyo in. Could you put Cunha up front and play Semenyo and Mbeumo behind him? Yes, of course you could. Especially while we're waiting for Sesko to come back. But this is still 5-6 weeks away before the window opens. I just can't believe Liverpool would be after another forward. I don't see that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But all the talk is, and not all the talk, because there is real links to Man United, but most of the talk has been pushing Semenyo to Liverpool. Look, maybe he is the natural replacement for Mo Salah on that right-hand side. Could be the way. Could be the way forward. Let's get some more comments in there. If we can get a loan deal in Jan, it's Gomez for me. Then hits the big targets in the summer. I don't think Gomez would be a loan, Rodders. That's the thing. I think Gomez would only be a full buy. And that's it. We need Bulldogs in midfield. Adam, I just saw the thumbnail. What's really going on? Has Jeff from B&Q been signed by Liverpool? Don't worry about it, mate. It looks like Semenyo might be signed by Liverpool. Or maybe United could come in, because that story that has just dropped while we're live has really hit us, I think, there. Well, talking about the midfield options for United. But, yeah, anyone who is just joining us, by the way, the story is ESPN are saying that Manchester United have got no intention to strengthen Ruben Amorim's midfield this January. But then again, straight after that, there are reports that Manchester United, from another source, saying that United are in for João Gomes and want him in January and are willing to spend over 40 million for him. I think he might cost us a bit more than that, but it's who do you believe? I said this at the top of the show. Who do you believe right now? Who is the one with the no and the in on all of this? And can we believe them? Look, all United need to do is make Champions League or European football. Europa League or Champions League, I think, helps Manchester United massively this summer. But, again, we've got to get there. I do think that United need to go out and buy. They need more cover. They need more options in midfield. They need to strengthen. They really do. Semenyo is Ghanaian, by the way. Get Semenyo and Dalot is done, says Daz. That would be the hope, mate. Why not drop Bruno and Agate and play Mount and Mainu in midfield till Anderson comes, says Paul. Probably because they're not good enough to play there, mate. That's what Ruben's probably thinking. He's not going to risk Mason Mount in the midfield because he needs to nurse him. He's mentioned this. And he clearly doesn't rate Kobbie Mainoo as a 2. That would be the worst combination we could ever play, in my opinion. I would stick with Bruno and Casemiro. They have been our go-to in this time of upturning form for United. So stick with what is working. By the way, everybody, please pop your likes in on the video if you're enjoying the content. I know it's a bit earlier tonight. I do apologise for that. So I've got a meeting I need to be at later on this evening, and I wanted to get the live video out as promised this morning. It's going to be a busy old week from around Manchester United, and I think we're going to be... we're expecting big news from Ruben Amorim's press conference, aren't we, on all of the injuries. And like we've said before, this is it now. Full steam ahead through all the way into the January transfer window. Premier League football all the way, people. Semenyo and Anderson in January. Top 4 would be a done deal. Yeah, Tomo, never happening. That is a dream, isn't it? That would be, I think, everyone's picks. I wouldn't want Semenyo at wing-back next to Cunha, and Mbumo would do most damage, it says Leo. Significant damage, I think we could say there. It would be scary, that, wouldn't it? Because he has definitely got an engine to get up and down that pitch. He's got the speed and the power to support them wide defensive areas as well, Semenyo. Let's see how this one develops now, because that news from Ornstein has definitely put everybody on red alert. And obviously, if he knows, other clubs know, agents know, and I think Semenyo could end up moving from Bournemouth. Look, he's got no European football to play. So wherever he goes, he's going to end up playing in a bigger and better competition and a bigger club. So, apart from United, of course, because we're not in Europe. But still, I don't think Bournemouth have got the power to hold on to Antoine Semenyo. And that would completely derail their season altogether. I really do think that would be the end of Bournemouth's season. I know they've come back from losing players before. They did it in the summer. But to lose someone like Semenyo mid-season, that would affect them massively. That is a hard act to follow. So, no. But, like Ornstein said, the clause and somebody coming in and triggering that clause has to be at a certain time. So, it has to be in time for Bournemouth to then go out and replace Semenyo. So, that's what's been said in that report. And I think that is key now to seeing exactly what happens with that deal. Come on, United, spend the money in January. The Premier League title is there for the taking. It gets better with every comment. Pete says Bruno and Casemiro is working, but not next season. Have to go and make a way for the next midfield. Well, Casemiro will definitely go. 100% he will go. The news on the outgoings as well, just to update you if you have just joined us. Again, Manchester United, I think, would only let players go. Again, it's partly just my opinion on this one, but going off what's been said, I think United would only let the likes of Xerxes and Mainu go if we had people coming in. That would be a Gallagher loan. That would be a Semenyo signing. That's the only way that them two players are leaving. And let's not forget, United feel like they can get full whack on what they paid for Joshua Xerxes. And that would go a long way to helping Manchester United pay for a Antoine Semenyo as well. Wow, that would be an amazing signing for United. But the talk is that he is favourite to go to Liverpool, so we have to remember that as well. That would definitely put the frighteners up other teams in the Premier League, particularly in that title race. Liverpool went out and bought him, but will that upset the apple cart in Liverpool again? It's not worked so far in spending fortunes for them, so maybe they would be looking at that also and thinking, do we need another forward? Hopefully not, and then United can buy him. Cal says, if we want Europe this season, we need to stop conceding goals. Be in the central midfielder or back three. We have a massive issue. 2 goals per game. Elite, we won't keep winning games. You expect to score 3 a game to win it. Yeah, midfield would sort that out, I think, more. I really do think that midfield is the key for United. And unfortunately, I would still go for a midfielder, even if it meant losing someone as good as Semenyo. I would. That is the area that United need to fix. And if we don't, then I'm sort of with Carl. I think European football is at risk if we don't strengthen in January. We need something else to just give us that little bit of an edge going forward, I think. People have a bad perspective on Conor Gallagher just because he don't play in the Premier League anymore. Still a decent player. If you watch La Liga, I think he would do a job for United. I agree. I agree with that HH89. I do. Who are you buying for United in the meeting tonight, Adam? Yeah. Oh, don't tempt me, matey. Don't tempt me. I mean, that... If you gave me the opportunity to buy someone, I would definitely be looking at... I'm going to be honest. I'm realistic. João Gomes would be my target for January. And then I would have Carlos Baleba and Elliot Anderson lined up for the summer. Semenyo would also be on my list there. I think you can get all of that summer done for 250 million. And that would be a completely different Manchester United side. It really would, wouldn't it? That's a good question there from Ben, who says, do we buy Semenyo just because he's a bargain alone? United have done this before, and it's worked and it's not worked at the same time. Like going back to Van Persie, like he was not in the plan, and then he came available, and Sir Alex had to get him, and he won us the league, and Sir Alex sailed off into the sunset. So, yeah, the idea was Kagawa, wasn't it? He was the one that United were meant to get. And it affected him, actually, I think, because we struggled to fit Kagawa in when Robin Van Persie came in. Is that actually in? Is that news in on Benjamin Sesko right now? Bear with me a second, everybody. I need to just double-check this because I'm seeing some... Benjamin Sesko is set to be out for at least a month as a result of the knee injury against Tottenham. So we are going to be without Benjamin Sesko. So that is an interesting one. 1 month, not too bad. Not too bad. I feel like that could indeed open up an opportunity for Kobe Mainu or Xerxes, which is why Man United are not willing to let them go. Indy has also dropped a load of news as well this evening, and my contact at the club are telling me that a bid has been submitted for Adam Wharton. Ruben Amorim loves the player and believes he can sell the project to Adam before Liverpool contact the player. Jesus Christ, man. Sometimes the stories that fly around. I mean, can you believe that? We've gone from Anderson to Baleba and we're back to Wharton again. It's like we're being led down the merry path here, isn't it? It's crazy. There's loads of news just dropping while we're actually live right now. I'm just looking through everything again now to make sure we've not missed anything. Yep. I've seen most of it. We're completely up to date there. The Conor Gallagher news is there. The Adam Wharton news is there. Benjamin Sesko news is also there as well. 1 month isn't as bad as it could have been for Benjamin Sesko. Let's just say that. I think that's important. And yeah, there's a lot to get through there. There's an awful lot to get through. And I don't believe... I mean, we'll talk about more of it again tomorrow when we get a bit more news on it. But I think Manchester United definitely, from our opening story, I think definitely looking at going for someone in January if the opportunity comes. We will see. Big up Saeed, who's in the chat tonight as well. What's happening, my man? Hope you're good. We're getting through so much news there, just coming through. So we had the Benjamin Sesko injury update. That's a month out. Not bad. It's going to be Conor up front, isn't it? Perhaps even Mason Mount for Man United coming back in. Does that give Xerxes Manu a chance? That Adam Wharton news that's just come through from India as well. I can't believe. Honestly, look, I know United like Adam Wharton, but it's Anderson and Baleba. That's how I see it going. And I would say yes to Adam Wharton in a heartbeat. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. But what's happening here is I think Manchester United are being used a little bit as well, name-wise, by journalists. And the stories are coming out thick and fast with United being linked to every single one of them. Does Semenyo prefer... who does Semenyo prefer? Because if he wants Liverpool, I would go nowhere near him. He has to want to play for the club. There's another comment in there. Yeah, and United will know this, won't they? And that's the thing. I think what we're looking at here is everyone trying to put themselves out there in the market. Semenyo's news from Ornstein tonight, that's the biggest bomb dropped, and that clause that we can get him for, or anyone can get him for. And then you're looking at the Adam Wharton news on top of that. Manchester United not looking at anybody in January was the news we started with from ESPN tonight. I think the Wharton, the Baleba and the Elliot Anderson news is all based around what's coming out of Manchester United, in that they're going to really invest substantial amounts of money into the summer transfer window and not the January one. I think because we can't get these players in January, ESPN ran that story, and now everybody's reporting that United want that player for the summer. And they'll go back and they'll say, look, we told you this 6 months ago. Look at us. We were the first to report it. Blah, blah, blah. You know the script. You know what it's like, and the clamour in the journalist world to try and claim that you was the first to the breaking news and all of that. But all we need to know is anyone coming in January? I think United will be aware of every single deal that's potentially there. Wharton will not come in January. Anderson will not come in January. And I don't think Baleba will. So we've got to look towards Gallagher and João Gomes. I think that's it. Look, there's so much coming out there as well. What I will do, I'll be back obviously in the morning. If anything does break tonight, I'm going to get back later on this evening. I'll do another show just in case, but I can't see it. I'll keep an eye on the news as I'm out and about doing all my bits this evening as well, and keep you updated. But as of now, ESPN say United are not bringing anyone in January, but United have been linked with everyone since they broke that news. And I mean everybody. We've had Wharton, we've had Gallagher, we've had Gomez, we've had Baleba, and we've had Elliot Anderson, all since ESPN dropped that news of Man United not signing anybody in the January transfer window. Yeah, that's normal, isn't it? That's what we're looking at. Hey Adam, if it's not a credible source, don't believe it. Look, we're only reporting on everything. I like to gauge the chat as well. Like, I'm not saying that these are gospel and believe in these reports, but we've got a lot to decide on, and there's so many different opinions within our chat right now. Some don't rate Gallagher, some don't want to go near Carlos Baleba. Some think Elliot Anderson is overrated. Some would now take Adam Wharton, going off that news, ahead of both of Baleba and Anderson. And some would just think that João Gomes is the easier buy because it's Wolves and they're about to get relegated. Look, so many different ways to look at what's happened there this evening and all of these differing reports. But we will bring it as it happens, as always, as the big guns come out with the news. And that is it for this evening, everybody. Suck it in and let's digest it. And then if anything does actually come about later on again, then I'll be all over it. But for now, that is us all wrapped up, everybody. Thank you, mods. Thank you, everybody who've been in the chat, putting your comments in. Please do put a like on the video if you are loving the content. Remember, Manchester United, Benjamin Sesko, 1 month out. That is the news that's come out this evening. So, yeah, that's us now, everyone. Thank you so much. I'll see you all first thing in the morning, unless something big does break tonight. Can't see it, but I'm there anyway if it does. Cheers, everybody. Have a good one.